Planning Commission.
Everyone, I would like to call the January 29th regular county council meeting to order at 9:31. And just wanted to note, we have Councillor Kaptanic here attending via Zoom. And I'll start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge Athabasca County is located on First Nations Treaty 6 and Treaty 8 traditional territory. We respect and honor all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples' connection to these lands, their history, language, and culture. And I just want to give everybody a quick reminder, please speak directly into your microphone, and please use it and speak directly into it. There's been some issues of not being able to hear. So we're at 2.1, approval of the agenda. We do have some additions. I hope everybody got a chance to have a look at some of those on the email last night. So under 5.2, and it was also handed out this morning to folks, committee of the whole motion. 5.3 is resolution CC 25540. I have 9.1, which will be the Pembina District 3 meeting call for agenda items. And we have an enclosed item. So what that will do is it will change on our agenda. It currently says 12.4 as advice from officials deliberations. We'll move that to 12.5 and we'll put the addition in that we were given, which is advice from officials meeting. So section 29(1) ATI Act advice from officials meeting. That will become 12.4. The existing 12.4 will become 12.5, if that makes sense for everybody. Just so that we can make a rearrangement of that and leave the deliberations portion to the last. And I think if everybody's good with those additions, okay, we have to go through, actually, what we're going to go through is any other deletions, additions, or corrections there? Does anybody have? Okay, we're going to go around the room as well for council. Just go ahead, sorry.
I would propose we delete pages 91 to 96 and 106 to 109.
I'm sorry, 91 to 96.
And 106 to 109 from the agenda. I think the council agenda is not an appropriate place for the minutes or agendas of other boards and committees. The section is entitled reports, not agendas from other bodies. So we should be filling it with reports from those bodies, not just dumping in the documents that are available in other places. It bulks up our agendas and it's repetitive and unnecessary. Provide a report or don't put anything. Like, it's for reports, not for piling newspaper articles or agendas from other committees in my mind. So I would propose we delete those pages.
Okay, thank you. I will comment if I may. I think it's extremely important that our committees have as much information on them as possible that is shared with our council and our public. Agendas provide a good guide as to what is being discussed, and then that complements the report. So I'm not in favor of deleting that information. I'm quite happy to see it. I see it in other municipalities' reporting areas for agendas, minutes, the whole 9 yards, so that it gives a complete view. So I'm not in favor of that. So we will actually probably have this as a separate motion. And I didn't catch all the page numbers. 10, sorry, to delete
91 to 96.
91 to 96.
And 106 to 109.
106 to 109. So we'll put that motion on the floor to go ahead and delete 91 to 96 and 106 to 109. All those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? That motion fails. Thank you. I would also like to, well, we might as well make a motion for the addition so we can keep this clean. So we will make a motion to add 5.2, 5.3, 9.1, and 12.4. If we're ready for that, and the change up, of course, from the original 12.4 would be 12.5. If we're ready for that motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, that motion passes. So we will now go around the room and discuss the items on our agenda for councillors to determine which items they would like to discuss on the agenda. I know of 3.1. Let's see here, 5.1. 6.1, 6.2, 7.3, 8.2, 8.3, 9.1, 10.1I, 10.1Q, and all items, closed session items, 12.1 through 12.5. Does anyone else have any other items they would like to add? Go ahead, please, Councillor Hall.
7.2.
7.2. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to run through those items again. 2.1, 3.1, 5.1, 6.1, 6.2, 7.2, 7.3, 8.2, 8.3, 9.1, pardon me, 10.1I, 10.1Q, all closed session items, 12.1 through 12.5. Go ahead, please.
Do we need to discuss 5.2 or
Committee of the whole motion?
the committee of the whole motion?
I think the recommendation, if I'm not mistaken.
What is the recommendation?
Yep, we can, the recommendation is fine if you're fine with it.
Okay. Yep.
Okay,
Gotcha.
all right,
Uh,
5.2.
Yeah, the add-on recommendation from the committee of the whole.
Okay. You're good with it?
Yeah.
All right, so may I have a motion to accept the agenda as discussed? From Councillor Chisholm, would like to go forward and approve the agenda as discussed. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? 1, 8, and 1. All righty. So we will move to item 3.1, which is on page 5. I believe it is. There it is. This is to approve the minutes as presented. This was from a tabling motion. Is there any discussion on this item as we did receive a legal opinion? Go ahead, please.
Just a comment really, which was more, the question was for legal, the question regarding legal advice in my memory of that was to determine whether that motion met the procedural bylaw to tag on a discussion to an unrelated item in a compound motion. The whole issue at the time, I think, is that the item did not meet the requirements of the special meeting agenda and it was slipped in violation of the clear rules in the procedural bylaw. And so it was about how we do business, not about the motion itself. But the advice from administration is clear, and so make it a recorded vote, call it a day for me.
Thank you. We will make this as a recorded vote. I do not believe we had any issues with procedurally with that and in discussion. I understand that there was no procedural issues. So go ahead, please, Councillor Mintz.
The motion was to restrict it from the minutes. That's what the motion was, and the minutes, we got the feedback regarding it. And you can't take stuff out of the minutes that's already been discussed, so it's just as the discussion quotes say, it's just the minutes should accurately reflect the motions, votes that were made, so that's what the motion was, so yeah, let's vote on it.
All righty. So the motion here is to approve the minutes as presented, and that is for the December 16, 2025 special county council meeting. All those in favor? And opposed?
Opposed. Nay.
3. So that's 6 and 3. That passes. Thank you.
That was a recorded vote, though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. I apologize. We had 4. We had Councillor Dowlick, Councillor Chisholm, Councillor Chamzik, Reeve Holland, Councillor Mins, or Deputy Reeve Mins, and Councillor Stasiak. And opposed, we had Councillor Callahoo, Councillor Hall, and Councillor Kapitanian.
And Madam Chair, the mover of that motion,
Sorry?
the mover, we didn't catch the mover. Thank you. Deputy Reeve Mintz. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think we can get down into some business here, business arising from the minutes. This will be item 5.1, reconsideration of CC 25660 and that is on page 23 of your agenda. And its recommendation here is to provide administration with direction. Is there discussion? Go ahead, please, Councillor Hall.
Can I just submit that administration already has direction from council, and that's in motion 25-231. Administration has already been directed to provide an annual review of the water and sewer rates bylaw in the next 60 days. And I think, we should be listening to admin's advice. We should be talking openly about water rates at the meeting and on, what basis we set them. And so I think we should, there's nothing to do except wait for the results of the standing motion 25-231 to come into effect and to not make any conflicting motions.
Okay, is there any further comment or discussion?
No further comment, but I agree. We have had an open discussion about water rates every year of last term, and I don't see why the beginning of this term should be any different. If anything, new councillors should have the opportunity to take admin's advice, look at it, read it, and have an open discussion.
Thank you. I'd just like to also comment, the reason for the original motion was simply because we knew in December that the Water Commission would be increasing their rates by 22 cents a cube. So that was simply just to capture that increase. It wasn't to stop a review or not have a review. It was just simply to capture that increase. The review would still be able to carry forward without issue, and any changes could also be made at that time. So it was just in good faith to just capture that particular increase with from the Water Commission. Councillor Mintz?
I agree with that. The Water Commission raised the rates by, what was it, 22 cents or something like that. And in our previous budgets and explanation from last year's budget and that due to the fact that the water rates changed and it didn't change until May, our budget was out with regards to the revenue and the cost and all this other stuff. So this motion was moved forward to try to at least capture the increase of the water rates at that point in time. And that way, maybe we can get away from the so-called budget being out. And yeah, we can still go with the other motion to discuss water rates and utility rates at February, March. It's no one's saying that we're not going to. It's just this is going to capture the increase from the Water Commission. So, which every other municipality that works from the Water Commission has already done. So this is just to stay ahead of it. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead, please, Councillor Chisholm.
Through the chair. So just so I understand this, are we currently being charged the extra 22 cents?
No.
So when is this effective?
Well, the reason being, when we have a reconsideration motion, what that does is it prevents administration from moving forward until the motion that has been asked to reconsider has been dealt with. So nothing has changed, nothing has made, we're still at $6 a cube. It will not change until the reconsideration has been handled.
But you're saying we're going to get charged an extra 22 cents.
Yes,
When
that
that effective?
That took place January 1. That's what
January
this
1.
motion was trying to capture so that we could just stay ahead of it. It was not to prevent any sort of a review coming forward. It was just to capture that at that time. We would still, in February, March, whenever the administration brings forward the review, we would still have that discussion.
So currently we're getting charged
Yeah.
$6.22 as
No.
of January 1st.
Our commission rate was $4.13, I believe, and they raised it to $4.35. Our $6 per cube rate is to capture our expenses for our water line areas. So that's why we're a little bit different. So we pay the commission for water and then we turn around and sell it to try and capture back some of our expenses.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Go ahead, please, Councillor Capitania.
I'd just like to say that that's a perfect example of why we need to have a conversation, because that motion was slid in with another topic and none of us knew what that was talking about. So yes, you just explained it very good, but that's what conversation's about. That's the whole point.
Well, and I totally agree. We had plenty of opportunity when the motion is put on the floor to have that conversation. So that's what motions are for, and that's what we when we put them on the floor, we open the floor for debate and discussion, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's quite common that we see around this table where more motions come forward through an idea of a debate. Did you have? You
I was a little confused, but I think I'm okay now.
got it, understood. Okay, so in this situation, the motion is still existing in a reconsideration. What would the reconsideration motion like to be? We could easily rescind CC 25660 to clean this up as a reconsideration, if people are interested in that. we
So
can-
moved.
Go ahead, please.
So moved.
Okay. And then we can also create a new motion so that we give some direction to our administration when they come back with the review to try and expedite things. We had discussed there was concern maybe of not increasing water rates, not including the extra 22 cents and leaving it at $6 a cube. There was, maybe appetite for that as well. So we can have this, we can rescind this particular motion. We can, mention to administration, we'd really like to see what it looks like to maintain it at $6 a cube. Councillor Dowling,
So,
Holland, sorry.
yeah, part of my confusion is what is that 22 cents for?
So that is a water commission rate where we purchase our water from the water commission due to their, I guess, expenses and their budget and all of those things, what's been coming back to the commission, have been forced to raise their rate. So for all three municipalities that are part of the commission, it used to be $4.13 that they purchased from the commission. It's now $4.35. So we as a county, the Village of Boyle, the town of Athabasca purchase the water from the commission now at $4.35.
Okay, but won't we get bit later on
In what-
for that 22 cents if we don't pay it now?
Well, we subsidize our water. It's not a user pay. So we can choose to leave it at $6 and not raise our water rates at all.
Mhm.
Or we can, like this motion originally captured the 22 cents that we were on part at
Yeah.
January 1.
Well, why are we gonna raise it if we don't have to, Like, I would just as soon see it at the current rate.
So this is a direction that when we come with the review from administration,
Yeah.
or we can make that motion now and give administration that opportunity. Councillor Capitani?
Did I miss something, or is there a motion on the floor by Councillor Hall to move to rescind it?
Yes, and now we're having conversation.
Okay, so, but that is the motion on the floor, not we make another motion.
That motion to rescind is exactly as it reads, to direct admin to create an amending bylaw 008-2020, the levying water and service charges, Schedule A,
So,
effective February 1st, 2026, to be presented at the January 29th, 2026 meeting to include the following, and it goes forward.
so then
That
I would
motion could
assume
be
that we
rescinded.
should talk about that, not all the motions you want to make in the future.
Once again, we can rescind this particular motion. We are.
We can vote on it. It's on the floor. This is the
Yes, it
worst
is.
meeting ever. My God.
Councillor Kapitanic, when we have a motion on the floor, we are able to discuss it, and that is what's happening.
You're not discussing it. It's fucking bullshit.
Did you want to have a comment? Feel free.
Well, I thought we were discussing it, so I'm again confused. Are we not allowed to?
We are
Discuss?
able to discuss,
Okay.
yes, the motion is on the floor. However, we're still able to debate the topic. Absolutely. You could very well vote against rescinding this motion.
So it's okay for us to discuss maybe like keeping it at $6?
Absolutely.
Are we allowed to? Like-
Yes, this is what healthy debate is for at this table.
Okay, thank you.
Can I make a motion to keep it at $6?
Absolutely, you can. We can do the rescinding motion,
Mhm.
and then we would follow up with a new motion.
Okay, we can move forward then with that motion.
Okay, Is there any other further debate? All right, so the motion on the floor currently is to rescind motion CC 25660. Counselor Hall.
If I can have the final word as the mover of the motion. So the status quo is that water is at $6. So we don't need to make a motion to leave it at $6 because doing nothing leaves it at $6. I would reiterate the proposal that we have a standing motion, 25-231, which asks administration to provide us their advice at an upcoming meeting. And rather than just arbitrarily say it's $6, we're going to leave it. Why don't we, because it's already at $6. Doing nothing leaves it at $6. Why don't we actually ask administration for their advice and say, what do they think? Perhaps they can tell us ways that we can make the rate better. You know, I personally think we can do better for our residents and the family. Maybe there's ways to do it without increasing the subsidy. But at least should we, you know, I think with the benefit of administration's advice in the future, we can talk about whether the $6 where we're currently at is where we should stay or whether we should go down or up or what we should do. But I think really doing nothing leaves it at $6, and that's the proposal is then to rescind the motion so that it stays at $6 so that we can wait for administration's advice. Because I would really like to hear what they have to say on this issue before we just start picking numbers of just, you know, automatically deciding $6. I'd like to hear their opinion, hear what they have to say, and then see if there's a path forward that's, you know, maybe it's important to council, given, you know, that we subsidize all kinds of services. Maybe we want to make it a competitive advantage that we price water a little bit better in our county. Maybe we decide that we have to move it to 622 or 625 but I'll conclude by saying I think that should be discussion that we have once we've had the benefit of administration's advice.
Thank you. Because there was one discrepancy in your final word, the $6 does not currently apply to Colleton. As we look on page 30, our current bylaw is 424 cubic meter for Colleton, $6.
As a point of order.
$6.
As a point of, can I raise a point of order, Madam Chair?
Pardon me?
May I raise a point of order?
Sure. What would your point of order be?
In commenting on the motion at this point, you're departing from the procedural bylaw where the mover of the motion has the final word.
It's a final word for substantive motion. And again, if there's issues.
The substantive motion is the main motion.
And once again, as the chair, I will mention to your point of order, there was a discrepancy in your final word to say that it's $6 a cube all the way across, and it is incorrect. The motion, the substantive motion that you're referring to directs administration to bring Colleton to par with everyone else at $6 a cube.
No, the substantive motion is the motion that's on the floor, and it's the one I made to rescind the motion.
Correct. Once again, we can rescind that motion as we discussed on the floor. We can also ensure that we direct administration that if this is what everyone would like, to bring Colleton on par to $6 a cube as everyone else is, that would something we can discuss.
Okay, so we have the rescind motion on the floor.
Yes.
We also have Councillor Dowlick's motion to charge $6 across the board.
We haven't reached that motion yet.
Okay.
I believe that was the intent of my motion was $6 across the board.
Okay.
So therefore it wouldn't be the same.
So we do not have to vote to rescind. You can oppose to rescind the current motion. The current motion is to rescind CC 25660. You can oppose that or you can vote for that. So the current motion, as we read on our request for decision, is to make sure that the usage fee in Colleton Grassland Wandering River is $6 a cube. Councillor Steves.
Just for clarification, so the by rescinding this motion, drops us back down to status quo as it is. Okay.
As it says on page 30,
And so just a explanation. So how do, then we would reintroduce a new motion by Councillor DeHolick to bring it back up to 6.
if you vote against rescinding the current motion, it would remain in play.
Okay, but do we have then an opportunity to put a new number in place, or that's a totally different process then?
If you do not want it to be $6 and you want a totally different number, that would be another motion. If you rescind this motion here, that takes this off the table completely.
Okay, so
Right.
yeah, my fear is that by going back to where we started in the beginning, there's no set or equal charges across the board. And, that's why the motion was in place to begin with, is because we wanted to try and get this thing even across the board. And so I just want to be assured that if we accept this so that we can create a change, except rescinding this motion, that we do have an opportunity to bring it back to par.
Yes, and I should note as well, because I have this stroked out in pen, but if we do rescind this motion, it rescinds moving it to 622 a cubic meter
At the same time.
at the same time. So we would then, if you choose to, you want to rescind this because you do not want it to go to 622 a cubic meter, then we would go forward with a new motion to your $6.
Can I ask?
Please use your mic. Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Why was the Collington rate lower than the rest?
This is another item that we have coming up for discussion, which is the Collington Improvement Levy. That the water rates were being used to forgive their levy, their tax levy. So that is why there's a difference. Go ahead, please, Councillor Capitania.
I implore the table to understand what that is before they vote on it. If you don't get that the levy is in place, that all Collington residents pay more on their taxes and less on their water, you cannot make their water the same unless you're going to make everyone in the county's taxes more. It has to, that's the only way to be fair. So if you make Collington $6 and you don't change their taxes, then you better be prepared to raise everyone else's taxes, because that's the only way it's fair. It has to go one way or the other. If you don't understand it, please table it and don't vote on it, and get information and read and learn and ask and admin more. And that's what I've been trying to say. If you have to ask why Collington is paying less still, then it should not be, it needs more discussion. It maybe even needs a workshop. Like, this is really serious. I'm sorry, but it's frustrating me if we're going to be voting on things that our fellow colleagues don't have time to get the information to understand.
Once again, we'll be talking about the Collington Improvement Levy, and there is in our agenda package the bylaw to repeal or cancel that particular levy.
How long does a levy last?
This particular levy was
Step.
in place January 1st, and again, it's in another item coming up
Mhm.
here, but just quickly, it was 30 years, January 1st, 2008 to end December 31st, 2037. Councillor Stacey?
Yeah, just for clarity to Councillor Capitania, by eliminating the levy is lowering the tax, so it's eliminating that portion. The other question I had is just for clarity, can you reiterate what you had said about the Water Commission increasing their rates, giving us reason to go to 622, is it?
Right.
Like, how did that all work out again?
So January 1, the Water Commission chose to increase what they sell their water to us for. So it used to be we paid $4.13 a cube. That was every municipality that belongs to the commission. The commission, during their budget process, decided that they needed to increase their rate that they sell to us. So they added 22 cents a cube, which now became $4.35 a cube. So the county, the village, and the town purchased their water from the commission now at a 22 cent increase January 1.
So essentially what we're trying to do is maintain our percentage profit.
That's what the original motion was for,
Right.
to increase it to
Correct.
622.
So by going to $6 even, doesn't make us the same percentage of money. Essentially, we're losing a little bit because we're not keeping up with the increase that was given to start with.
Correct.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. But if people are satisfied to go 6 across the board, that's the decision of council.
But for clarity, when we look at our water budget, we're, I think it was close to $700,000 negative. So we subsidize water. That's one of the choices councils have made. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. There's no reason to rush. We have, we're talking about 20 cents on a few, cubes of water, and on, the county's water use, you're talking about 20 cents on 9,000 cubes of water. We're $1,800 a month is the impact of delaying fixing that 20 cents is $1,800 a month. So I feel like I'm noticing, but for me is a disturbing trend where we are continuing to ignore the advice from the professionals who are our administration. In some cases, we're not even seeking it. And I just don't really see what the rush is here, that to pick a rate or to move a rate or to get something done. Administration is bringing a report to us in the next 60 days, and let's hear from them. Like, we don't even understand clearly where $6 came from. It's a number that we decided on, but it wasn't based on administrative advice. And so I think, we will have the opportunity to revisit pricing once administration talks to us about their best advice. But to say that we have to move it to $6 because we got to level it out with Collington is truly putting the cart ahead of the horse. At this moment, the levy is still in place in Collington. There is no guarantee it will not still be in place by the end of the meeting today. There's no guarantee it will get removed because we have not voted to take it off yet. So surely before we start picking rates, like it's our job as stewards of the municipality to find out the financial implications of what we're doing. So, before we pick $6 or $6.22 or just level it, the difference in cash flow is so minimal. We can afford to wait 60 days for administration to come and give us their best advice, and then we can make a decision, because maybe we'll make a decision that it needs to be $6.25. Maybe we can go to $5.95. I don't know, because I don't have their advice and we don't understand the financial implications. So to me, the solution here is really simple. We need to reverse the motion and do nothing until we hear from administration, which there is already direction for them to come with their advice through that motion 25-231. And when we get their advice, we can then consider it and then decide what direction we want to go. If we want to increase subsidies, decrease subsidies. Water is really important to people, and making it affordable matters. It's not something we should do with partial advice. One of the important things I came across in the last couple of years was this quote that said, how often when we're making decisions do we take time to ask what information is critical to the decision-making that's missing right now? And today, folks, we have critical information that's missing. What's it going to cost? How are we going to put it together? And I think the answer again is vote on the reversal of the rescinding of the motion and do nothing so that admin can give us their advice. Because again, the dollars that we're talking about over 2 months are negligible. We spend more on lunch.
Thank you. Councillor Chisholm and then Deputy Admins. Sorry. Councillor Chisholm?
So a lot of this for myself would determine what's going to happen with another agenda item. Can we table this until that agenda item is discussed and come back to this? Because rescinding this still doesn't leave our county par, which is an issue for a lot of our divisions. So that's a big concern for myself. And taking it back to the $6 par would be nice, depending what the other motion is. But to rescind this, that's not what's going to happen. So my suggestion, if we can table this to the other decision and then come back to this decision. I don't know if I'm out of line here or what, but I'm not sure what else to suggest.
In a tabling motion, there is no discussion. So that will leave you hanging, if that's okay. I'm happy to table the item to after 6.1, or would you prefer, being that 6.1 is a bylaw? A recommendation is first reading. We could table this until after the bylaw has been dealt with in its entirety, or we can discuss it after the first reading. Second reading, depends on where. Just want to determine how long you would like to table it for. We can come back to it on after 6.1 and further have that discussion if you like.
That's what I would
Okay.
prefer.
All right. So tabling motions
Oh,
or,
sorry.
yeah, no discussion. So that's where we're at. And if I'm not mistaken, that the rescinding motion that is on the table, does that have to be dealt with first? It's tabled the motion. Thank you. Thank you very
The
much.
motion should remain on the table.
Appreciate that. All right. So on the tabling motion of this item 5.1 to come after 6.1, all those in favor? And opposed?
Nay.
3, 6 and 3, so that tabling motion passes. So we will go right into 6.1. Just one moment, please. Thank you so much for joining us. I think Deputy Reedmans has a comment to make, and then we will turn it over to administration.
I move the recommended motion.
Okay, which is that bylaw 005/2026, option 1 be given first reading. Before we go forward, we have Ms. McConnell, our policy and governance specialist here, with Director of Finance Jeff Daly. If you would like to comment on the report.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of council. I don't think I have much more to comment on than what is in the report. We did provide you with different options, being that council was discussing the refund. Administration recommends option 1 if council wants to rescind the local improvement tax, being that the refund would go to the property owner that is currently on title. Other than that, I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just have to find my notes here. Just bear with me. There we go. I think it is definitely worthy of having a bit more conversation and a bit more discussion on this particular item for our new counselors. So I made some notes and I'd like to share them with you, if I may, on this to try and help explain what's been going on for very many years and what's happening here today. So the forgiveness of the Colleton local improvement tax through reducing the water rates in Colleton has been discussed for a very long time in several council and committee meetings, really gaining traction in October of 2024. Administrative reports can be found on this topic in agendas since 2020, and meeting recordings can be found on YouTube from this and the last council term. It can be read about in several town and country newspaper articles, December 9th, 2024, January 19th, 2025, May 6th, 2025, January 8th, 2026. The topic was also shared through the Division Councillor's public Facebook post to the Colleton residents, January 28th, 2025, asking them to email questions to me on the topic. I was not aware of the post, but was made aware later on, and I didn't receive any emails from residents as a result of the post to alert the Colleton residents of this discussion. However, I have had conversations with impacted residents that have not been able to take advantage of the discounted water sewer rates to forgive their levy and the unfairness of that. I think we can all agree this topic has been discussed thoroughly in several meetings for those councillors who have been here. However, I will also, for our new councillors, give a brief history of how this all came about. So as we know, the Colleton Improvement Levy was implemented in January of 2008 with an end date of December 31st, 2037. However, no local improvement levy was imposed in Grassland and Wandering River when the regional water line was completed for those hamlets in June 2015. Therefore, the council of the day decided to forgive the Colleton improvement tax by lowering their water rates enough to zero out the annual levy. For approximately the last decade, the Colleton improvement tax levy has been forgiven for the majority of people impacted. Again, some owners have not been able to receive the discounted water to forgive their tax levy. It is highly unorthodox to use one bylaw to forgive another bylaw, as it creates unintended consequences, as well as confusion, animosity, and financial disparities. Nowhere have I been able to find that we must lower the water rates in Colleton to forgive this local improvement tax. In good faith, and to safeguard the Colleton residents, we can easily correct the problem by simply canceling the Colleton improvement tax levy bylaw to forgive it cleanly and once and for all. So the primary duty of a municipal councillor is to consider the welfare and interests of the municipality as a whole, and to bring to council's attention anything that would promote those interests. Even though we were elected by division, we must consider the whole municipality when making decisions. This isn't about personal attacks. It's not about divisional attacks. It's not about political games. Those things don't belong at the table. I'm only interested in solutions to a problem. Other intended consequences of the problem of forgiving a tax levy through the water rates is one hamlet has a lower rate than other hamlets. This is unfair, as it not only lowers one hamlet's sewer charges more than the other hamlets, but the lower revenue for that sewer and water essentially for that hamlet could increase the rates elsewhere. Regarding the impact to renters, that was a comment and a concern in Colleton. What about the renters in Grassland and Wandering River? Why should they be treated differently? It should also be noted that the landlord, tenant agreements, and Airbnb contracts are none of our business. Nor should those agreements or contracts be considered at this table regarding this matter. That's my personal opinion. Regarding the newspaper article of January 8, 2026, where it mentions that if we cancel the levy, we will lose the remaining $267,000 that is owed to the county. That is not true. The $267,000 was being zeroed out through the water rates anyway. It's not a loss. It is time we corrected this convoluted problem and canceled the Colleton local improvement tax levy. I strongly encourage council to pass the first reading of the local improvement tax cancellation bylaw 005/2026, option 1. So I hope that that helps explain a little bit of what has gone on. But please go ahead, Councillor Chisholm.
Just a question, Reeve Holland. So with the lower water rates that Colleton pays, how does that lower the sewer rates?
The sewer rates are based on your bill of water. So whatever your water bill rate is, it's 35% of that. So because Colleton has a lower rate, they pay a lower sewer rate than what Grassland and Wandering River does, based on the 35% of your water rate.
Okay, so not only are they getting a better rate, and I know they're paying the tax levy or improvement levy, but they're getting a lower rate of water for that, but they're also getting a lower sewer rate that hasn't been really looked at for dollar comparisons.
Right, it's 35% of your water bill, but because it's billed at a lower rate than Grassland and Wandering River, it's essentially paying less for sewer. You're welcome, Councillor DeHolland.
Yeah, I really think it should be the same, but even if we never talked about doing it in stages, maybe in 2 stages or to help them out that way.
You know, it's just more in 2 stages. I'm not quite following. Like, what do you mean by 2 stages?
Well, by increasing their rates in Colleton, do it in 2 stages, so half this year, half next year, and then to be up to par with the rest of the county.
Well, if we go forward and absolutely cancel the improvement levy, that would take place immediately. So they no longer would have the $232 improvement levy on their taxes. So therefore, the water rates that we have been forgiving that would just be the same as everyone else's, and it would still remain where there is no damage to Colleton's bottom line. It safeguards them actually by canceling this because we don't absolutely have to adjust the water rates at all. There's nowhere that I could find. I went through motions back from 2006, looking. I've got pages and pages of motions from 2006 forward that I could not find where we said we have to do that. It was a conversation that took place, as far as I understand, from prior councils. It was a verbal type decision. I couldn't find a motion to say that it was necessary to safeguard Colleton. And because we've been doing it for over a decade, I would not want to see them keep the levy and have water rates increased at the same time, because it was in good faith. I would rather safeguard that, remove the levy in all its entirety, bring everybody whole, and move forward. Thank you. Counselor.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but could we not start by just raising their sewer rates? Like, could we not just raise the sewer rates?
No. Counselor Stacey.
I actually did the math on it, and as we had all mentioned already several times, it all works out within the next 11 years to $8 difference total, not per month, not per year, total $8 based on the levy, the elimination of the levy, calculating the cost of the water at a higher rate works out just about identical. So I think we as council, or county, I should say, have, in a sense of the word, have been cheated out of sewer rates. I didn't even realize that until you just mentioned it. And it's not fair to the people in Grassland, Rochester, wherever in the county, to be paying a higher sewer rate based on a different equation than here. And I'm not picking on Colleton. I really appreciate their concern. However, I would like to see this thing cleaned up and evened up and move forward on this, because we're not hurting them by lowering or eliminating the levy. It works out the same. So I'm all for moving on with this motion and getting this thing cleaned up.
Thank you. Counselor Deputy Mintz, did you have a comment?
I totally agree with getting this cleaned up. That is, thank you for that, because that is one thing that when it came forward, what, 4.5 years ago, it's like it set us all back, wondering why these water rates were different for one entity, one hamlet of the county compared to the other two where you have utility bylaws, where they pay for water and sewer and not. And so that's why we figured it out as council. We figured it out, well, it was just forgiven through the water rates. And it's if we're going to forgive a tax levy, well, then let's forgive it. Let's actually do it the proper way, rescind this, repeal this bylaw and be done with it. Then we don't have to look at it again. Then we can discuss water rates and everything later on. But to have this on the books, as you can see, it's a conundrum every time it comes up. So let's get rid of it. We're forgiving it anyway.
Counselor Chamzik and Counselor Chisholm. Thank you.
I really appreciate the conversation around the table. I've stayed relatively quiet as I've been involved in these conversations for the past 4 years plus. Equality and consistency is very important to me and residents of the county, and it's been great dialogue, and I appreciate the conversation.
Thank you. Counselor Chisholm?
Just another question, Reeve Holland. The numbers, I know Counselor Stasiak said he did the numbers, and that's his numbers, and you have numbers. Did admin do numbers?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that these numbers that we have are actually confirmed numbers with administration.
Absolutely. So the administrative reports that have come forward have explained from our last bylaw that was passed in 2025, the rate for Colleton at, what is it, pardon? 424 is based on an average of 11 cubes that they use. So they went through and determined what the average use was in Colleton, which is 11 cubes. And that's where that particular rate came from. So that the 232 levy to $232 per year levy that goes on the property tax bill is reduced by $19.33 a month. That 1933 times 12 equals your 232. So that's where the zeroing comes in. That's where it was based on the 424 at 11 cubes average use. Does that help? Okay, you're welcome. Are we ready to go forward with Councillor Hall?
I have a comment and a question, I guess, but in the other order. First, though, for reference, just for clarity, Rochester pays sewer rates on a different formula than everybody else too. So we can't say that, you know, there's not more than one formula. There are different formulas. Rochester gets a special one on their own.
And can we just,
Now the question is for the CAO,
There.
and that is, how many phone calls have you had on this in your tenure at the county on this issue from residents? On how many phone calls of concern regarding the levy have, or the differential rate in
The
Colleton?
the utility charges in Collington?
Yeah,
I've not received any queries.
and that has been my experience as well over the last 4 years. I've had one single phone call on this, and so I am kind of left wondering what problem we're actually solving. Because you know, we keep hearing that there are many calls on this, and our colleagues have even asked for that. We've asked for tallies or names, and yet there's no individuals that have ever been identified or shared with council. And, you know, we've been told again and again that, well, even a speaker earlier today said they hadn't actually received any emails on this from residents. We've been told that this nets to zero, and I can tell you, people will be unlikely to remember that their taxes moved a little bit based on the local improvement levy. But they certainly are going to remember their water rates increasing by nearly 50% in this year. And so to me, it has the appearance of, you know, a move to push the water rates up for the residents of Colleton. And I just don't understand the motivation, especially when the local councillor is not getting complaints about the issue. And I don't understand why a councillor from a different division is especially adamant about the change, especially when we've considered two important things. You know, we've been told a couple of times that this has been talked about for many years, and council continues to reject it, and yet it keeps coming back. But council has, you know, declined to take this issue up again and again, and yet it still shows up. And more importantly to me is this particular issue, if it's important, then we should talk about it at strat planning, because right now, this is absolutely nowhere on our council list of priorities. This has never been identified as a council priority. So why are we wasting administrative time on this? You know, I think that a precedent-setting decision to forgive hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt deserves some greater involvement with our community. And so I'm wondering why we're afraid to host an open house. Like what's wrong with the transparency on that? For me, this repeating that old quote is more like a solution in search of a problem. And so for me, this is a mistake. And I don't understand the rush to ram this through before we have a strategic planning discussion. Because remember, administration did not recommend we do this. So all we're doing is creating a bunch of work for them for what we could all agree is no net benefit. And once we get to it, just because, you know, I can also read the wind here, I'd like this to be a recorded vote, because I think decisions of significant financial implications like this, we need to be accountable.
thank you. Recorded vote will happen. Once again, it's zeroing out. It's a 0-0 transfer. I will point out in April 2025, we had a motion from council requesting administration to bring forward the repealing bylaw, and it was an 8-1 vote, including the local councillor voted in favor. Rochester has a different rate because Rochester doesn't have water to base a sewer charge on. Okay, so that is why Rochester is based on an average as well. So everything is very well explained here. Again, if this comment keeps coming that I didn't have this conversation with residents because I'm not giving names, I will tell you why. I have been asked by those particular residents to remain confidential because they do not want to be hassled. I respect that. I will remain keeping those names confidential for that reason. So if we can please put that to bed and understand that I am respecting a request of confidentiality, period. We can go through and have, if you really want to pull all of the water rates and figure out which lots do not pay them, you go ahead. But those have been brought forward to me. Councillor Chisholm.
Through the Reeve, I'm not sure why Collington people would call. They're not getting charged any different. I'm just saying, and from what I understand, what we're trying to do here is just clear up so that we can, well, from what I would like to see, clear this up and make sure that all our residents are paying the same dollar for water. I mean, we can't deal with the past, but we can only deal with the present, and that's what we have here right now is just the present. And I want to see it fair across the board. And currently, I don't feel that it's fair across the board. So I would like to have this matter cleared up so that it is fair to all of our residents in the county of Athabasca.
Thank you. And Councillor Stacey.
I don't think that the concept of no phone calls is actually relevant here. I don't see anybody in our municipality phoning and saying that, geez, I'm really happy with the way taxes are, but I'd sure like them increased. So the relevance of phone calls coming in, whether it's good or bad or otherwise, is not relevant to me. I think our job here is to conduct business so that we make this a profitable, or I shouldn't say profitable, that might be a mistake, but run our business according to what is best for the ratepayers. And we're simply here trying to streamline this. We're not here trying to charge extra. And yeah, for the last 20 some years, I guess, or 20 years it would be, Collington's been getting a subsidized sewer rate. And we never said anything about that. And I think it is time that we equalize this thing now and make it, we're not, I want to be very clear that we are not picking on anybody. We are trying to streamline the process here. Simple as that.
Thank you. And just to confirm, it is a safeguard in play to cancel this levy because again, there's nowhere that says we need to give them a better rate in water to forgive it. So if by repealing this, they are safeguarded for the rest of their forgiveness, it's done. Another council could come in here and say, we're not doing it. And then where do they sit? We can get rid of it and safeguard Collington. I think it's important.
Yes, Reeve Holland, I totally agree. We wouldn't be here next year. We wouldn't be here the year after and 2-3 times during the year discussing this if we made it all equal. It's a done deal. Let's just be consistent with it throughout the county. Easy.
Thank you. I think at this point, are we ready to go forward with the recommendation? Deputy Reeve Minns would like to move forward that bylaw 005/2026, option 1, be given first reading. If we're ready for the vote, recorded vote as well. All those in favor? Councillor DeHollick, Councillor Chisholm, Councillor Chamzik, Reeve Holland, Deputy Reeve Minns, Councillor Stasiak. Opposed?
Nay.
Councillor Calahoo, Councillor Hall, and Councillor Kapitaniak. First reading goes forward. Please go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to move to second reading
Okay,
of option 1.
of option 1. Is there any conversation or discussion? Councillor Hall. Recorded vote.
Yeah, recorded vote, yes.
As well, okay. And Councillor.
I still come back to concern with the rush and concern with our unwillingness to host an open house on this and to rush it at this rate. People here campaigned on transparency, and you think that it would be reasonable to have that conversation with the public, especially given, the questions around, phone calls are relevant when in a group of 9, you would expect the general concern to come to more than just one person. And so I'd like to hear from the folks that are impacted by this directly. And I think we're making a mistake by pushing forward at this speed without taking the time to show them the respect of having the transparency of an open house.
Thank you. Deputy Reed Mins?
I don't understand having an open house. I remember a comment that was made here, I think a couple meetings ago, of every time we come up with a motion before we can pass it or come up with a bylaw, are we going to have an open house? We have to be able to, and I'm pretty sure council has sat here and listened to, we have to make a decision, and this postponing the decision, and we keep postponing the decision is not the way of good governance. So we have open houses. It's called council meetings. And so far, from all of our council meetings and our discussion on this, I have not received anything that says I'm against this or anything like that, even though it was projected that we possibly would be thrown under the bus to receive a whole bunch of phone calls and at all hours of the night and everything. So to have an open house on a forgiving bylaw to forgive actual taxes, who's going to come out and disagree with it? To say, no, please drop my taxes. Or no, don't drop my taxes. So you know what? Open houses, you have an open house when you have a good, when it makes sense. We've had open houses. It's called council meetings, and I disagree with that statement. Let's just move on with the second reading, please.
Okay, thank you. We have Councillor Chamzik, Councillor Chisholm, Councillor Stacia.
I very much agree. And remember, the Collinton lobby doesn't just in fact affect Collinton. It's also Grassland and Wandering River. And their voices are also very much needed and concerned when it comes to open houses and whatnot. But I very much agree with you, Mr. Mins.
Councillor Chisholm?
Through the Reeve, open house, to me, an open house is if there's an impact on our residents, then we would have an open house, and I could be wrong in that, but there is no impact financially on the ratepayers. But again, if we have an open house, I'd love to have the rest of the county of Athabasca come in and talk about how we should be par with everybody else as well. So, but I do disagree with the open house. I just don't think there's a big enough impact on residents at this time, other than the not being fair across the board.
Thank you. Councillor Stacia?
Thank you. My concern is that we heard a comment from the CAO that he has no phone calls. So does that suggest that nobody in Collington knows about this? Or does it suggest that they're not concerned? So as the councillor of that area, Councillor Kapitaniuk, have you mentioned to anybody? Has anybody commented to you, or are they totally unaware of this? Go ahead.
Is that a question through the chair?
Through the chair.
That would be proper. I have spoken to many of my residents over the last 3 years, and not one of them had any, number one, real idea what this was, and I've had to explain what we've been talking about over and over and over. So all they are getting is me explaining, and then me also being careful to not explain something improperly. And I've asked for an open house so that administration could explain this one time properly, not coming from me, not my opinion, not as was earlier, numbers I may have created or didn't create, but having admin be the be all end all, telling them this is how it was created, this is what's gone on. When you look at the property that's had multiple turnovers, do you think they have any idea what that is? The open house was not for opinions or for people to make a decision. It was to educate them on the decision you're ideally going to make against my will anyway. So if I've asked for that over the last 4 years and it's been denied, I keep saying, what are we hiding? All I've asked for was for an educational open house, not a discussion, not to ask the community their opinion. It was if you're going to make this decision, please go and tell my community in one certain terms what it is you're doing.
Are you
And
done?
yet
Oh.
I've just been denied that. We've not had one open house in all of last term. You act like it's this big expensive thing or it's going to take all this time. Like one, not one.
Okay, well, with all due respect, your preconceived opinion that we've already made our decision is incorrect. I'm more than willing to listen to you. I was hoping to get your opinion January 8th meeting or whatever it was. Didn't happen. But I'm asking for the benefit of all of us newbies especially, so that we get all the information that we can. And as we're discussing this, we're discussing what would be fair, what would be appropriate, what would be everything. And I don't know whether anybody, from the sounds of it, anybody in Collington has any idea what's going on, or maybe they do and they're okay with it, or maybe there's too many maybes here. And I think based on what we're trying to do, we're trying to clean it for them. We're not trying to hinder them. And I'm struggling with understanding how perhaps you or your ratepayers can believe that we're there to hurt them in any way.
Through the chair, I'll respond as Councillor Hall said. They are only going to see their water rate go up. They're not going to see their tax bill go down till tax time comes out. So that's what they're going to see. And that's why I was asking for the educational portion, so that they get that information before the tax bill comes out. They're going to see a water bill go up and be told that their taxes are going to come down by $200 and some, but they have no way of knowing that till it happens. And if you are an average normal person, you're going to have a lot of questions. How do I know that's going to happen? I'm not going to see it. And then the other side of it is the rental. Okay, renters don't get a tax bill, and it doesn't matter what their rental contract is. If they pay their water bill, like I rented in a place once and I paid the power and the water, they're just going to wonder why their bill just all of a sudden went up. Of course, I've been educating them and trying to tell them this is likely what's going to happen and why. But to hear it from the county as a whole, as we speak about, like through admin, was the piece of the puzzle that I needed to help not only myself as a counselor, but you all, because they're just like, they're going to look at us like we just raised their water bill without any explanation. And I myself have no explanation left anymore. So when those calls start coming in, what am I supposed to say to them? I have no explanation. I tried to get an explanation for you guys. Your water bill went up. Your taxes will go down. That's the end of it. That's all. That is not going to be satisfying to people.
Thank you. Councillor DeHolland?
Yeah, open houses. I've never agreed with open houses. The only thing they're good for is the donuts. We've got 9 councillors here representing every area in the county. My gosh, the problems in Wonder River, I'd have open houses every week. If I can't explain to them what's happening, they can always call administration and get the proper information. No, I would just like to see this cleaned up and not ever talk about this 2-3 times a year. Let's just move on.
Thank you. And I'll just reiterate how much information is out there.
Yeah.
It's huge. And the division counselor has made it very clear in their community page what is going on. Full description of from 1, 2, 3, 4, several points of what this is. And again, the Collington residents that have contacted me are more concerned with the fact that they've never been able to see the discount. So they've been paying it full out. So that's the problem. The rest of them to have no impact. And again, I'm sorry, but landlord and tenant agreements and Airbnb agreements, that has nothing to do with this. It's not our conversation to have. So I think if everybody's done, we are moving on to second reading of, that's Deputy Reed Minns would like to move to second reading.
May I have a recorded vote, please?
Yeah, thank you. It's a recorded vote. Counselor Hall, do you have comment?
So I get that we want to solve problems, and I think part of clarifying my opposition here is I'm concerned about the way we're going about doing business. This has come forward as a priority of one or two people again and again, but it's not it hasn't been identified as our collective priority, and so we're going to set our administration off on a task that has been identified or not been identified rather as a priority of our council. But while it may have importance to deal with eventually and at some point, we've not had the conversation if this is the most important thing for them to deal with right now. And so, once again, we've heard this comment before, we've seen it in emails. I'll make that my new number one priority. We're making a new number one priority today. We should have a list of the number one priority of the week on the calendar. I don't know. But we have to find a way to do business where we collectively agree on the most important things to do and then set out working toward them. Not just this continual, whoever can get something on the agenda and wrangle the votes to make it happen.
Counselor DeHolly?
Well,
Counselor-
this topic has been brought up again and again and again, term after term. A decision couldn't be made. So we've had lots of time to discuss this and come up with recommendations. We've come up with one. We're going to vote on one. Let's just do it.
Thank you. Counselor Chisholm?
Through the Reeve, I already think this is an admin burden. So without us making a decision, this just keeps coming back for us to spend a lot of time and emotion on. So moving forward, I guess this is a number one new priority. Let's vote on it.
Thank you. And again, it was a collective decision in April of 8-1 vote. So I think that was pretty clear. And so was first reading at 6-3. We're moving to second reading. Second reading to the bylaw 005-2026, option 1, be given second reading. If we're ready for the vote, all those in favor, recorded. Counselor DeHollick, Counselor Chisholm, Counselor Chamzik, Reeve Holland, Deputy Reeve Minns, and Counselor Stasiak. And opposed?
Nay.
Counselor Callahoo, Counselor Hall, and Counselor Kapitaniak. Thank you. 6-3. I'm pretty sure we're not going to get a unanimous vote to carry forward to third reading. So I think we will stop there for today, and this will come forward at our next meeting for third reading. You need unanimous consent of all counselors present to move to third reading. No, just in the same session. Just in the same session. Okay. So I think we're going to take a break at this point. Thank you all for being here. We are going to, that clock always gets me, so I'm going to try and get this thing live 10:43. Can we please take a 10-minute break and arrive back at 10:54? Thank you. we are back from our 10-minute recess. We are now going back to 5.1, which was tabled, which is the reconsideration of CC 25660. How do we want to handle this particular item now? Do we want to wait till we receive the review from administration to just rescind this motion? Counselor Callahan.
So I just have a question. So if we do rescind it and then everything's thoroughly gone through, then there is a chance the number might not be 6, it could possibly be lower.
Sure.
Then I'd prefer that just because that's beneficial. That's kind of what we're going for, right? It's to be fair across the board. And if
Yep.
there's a chance on it going down, I'm for that.
Yep.
But if we rescind, then only Grassland, One River, not Collington, goes back to the $6. So they will remain at 4, whatever they are,
Correct.
plus a lower sewage rate at this point in time.
But I think in all honesty, it's going to be for a short amount of time. I would assume that because this is kind of a hot topic, that administration will be bringing a review back sooner than later, right? I'm assuming, I don't know how much time that administration has had to dig up the review. However, we know that there's been an increase from the commission. And so, we're looking at February now. The bylaw has not been completed by third reading, which, will happen February 12th. I'm assuming we'll be looking at it then. So then by the time we even consider looking at a utilities rate bylaw, that has to go for second, third reading as well. We're probably going to be looking into March. So in all honesty, I think that if we, go ahead, rescind this particular motion, I'm comfortable with that, and wait for the review. I'm comfortable with it because just of the timing of where things are sitting.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Deputy Reedmans, please go ahead. No, you're good. Anybody else? So I guess we have a motion then to, go ahead, please, Deputy Reedmans.
The review will be coming in February, March on the water rates.
CC.
Madam Chair, that's what the motion said.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm good.
And being that, just to give people a heads up here too, that is an annual review motion for February, March. And it's something we can also consider. And I'm just going to throw it out there because I personally think that we need to deal with our water rates in December, that we can rescind that particular motion at a later time and put a new motion in place to have our reviews done at the end of the year when we are able to deal with our budget on January 1 rather than into the months of the year. But that's just me personally, just throwing it out there. Counselor Hall, would you like to rescind motion CC 25660?
That's the motion that I put on the floor and that we've debated at length,
Okay. And we'd like to
which I
vote.
still support because, as you have pointed out, like there's 2 things that I think we gotta, the timing, right? Like there's no chance that bylaw is passing before the end of February. So chances are admin will have a review in front of us before then. That actually gives us a chance to talk about what we want to do. And the water commission rate, it can move around, but we pick our rate and we choose to subsidize water. So it's I think the discussion to think about in the future is about to what extent do we want to use that as a tool for some, making life affordable for families and for economic development and all those important things. And I'm looking forward to what admin has to tell us.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion? Motion on the floor from Counselor Hall is to rescind motion CC or resolution CC 25660. If we're ready for the vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
And are there any opposed? Thank you. That's 9-0. All righty. Moving right along. We are at 6.2 of our agenda package, which is on page 39. Bear with me, I flipped the page too quickly. All right, so this one is land use bylaw amendment, bylaw 006/2026. We're looking here. What I'm thinking would be best to make two separate motions of, but I will turn this over to Ms. Cloutier.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council. So the redistricting bylaw in front of you, just to highlight that it is to redistrict the northern portion of Lot 1, approximately 19.5 acres from agricultural to rural industrial. Sorry, Madam Chair, to light industrial. The purpose is to facilitate future industrial development, and the redistricting does align with our municipal development plan, as Lot 1 is within the growth node policy overlay, which represents existing concentrations of commercial, light, and heavy industrial development.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Councillor Hall.
Given that it's first reading, I'd be happy to move the recommendation as presented.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further conversation on this one? So go ahead, Councillor Stacey.
Just for clarity, on my diagram, it shows a yellow outline. Is that the parcel in question, or the light dark line that goes right to the southern boundary? Is that included in this? When it says the southern boundary, I'm assuming it says southern boundary of Lot 1. So is that already subdivided? Why is there a dark line or a line on the diagram?
Madam Chair, on page 42, I believe we're talking about.
Yeah.
So the area highlighted in yellow is the 19.5 acres that will be rezoned. Lot 1 goes all the way down to that boundary where the southeast 24 is. So we're not subdividing this lot. It'll remain as one lot. We're just redistricting the northern portion to light industrial. And the area outlined in yellow is the area to be redistricted to industrial.
So is there a water course or something? It looked like dark lines on the aerial photo of it, but I'm just curious how it ended up being in such a jagged line like that.
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of council. So on the west boundary, that it follows a natural water course.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Awesome. Everybody good? I don't see anybody, any other questions or concerns? All right, so we'll deal with the first reading and then we'll do the motion for the advertising of the public hearing. So
No, I made the motion as recommended as a single motion.
combined?
Yep, and there's no reason to make that two motions.
No, it's just as a point, I've been reading a little bit more on best practices and it mentions to do your first reading first and then your public hearing, although in history we have done them all in one, but we need to kind of start looking more towards best practices as well, in my opinion. So but we will do that. So Councillor Hall would like to give first reading of bylaw 006/2026 land use bylaw amendment to redistrict 7.89 hectares of lot 1, block 1, plan 0826-088 from agricultural district to light industrial district, and to direct administration to schedule and advertise the public hearing on February 26, 2026 at 9:30 a.m. for bylaw 006/2026. If we're ready for that, all those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Thank you. 9-0. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. We are going to item 7.2, which is our variance report. Once again, thank you to our finance team. The highlights that you have provided for us from page 55 through 50 or through 60 is so greatly appreciated. It gives us all this information that we can read and understand and know what's happening in our variances, and it's a lot of work. And so thank you very much for providing that. I'm going to turn it over to council. Is there any questions? Does anybody have anything for our finance team? Go ahead, please,
I
Councilor.
added it to the agenda because I did have questions. First one, there's a number of places where the comment about utilities being lower than budgeted, but with the cancellation of the consumer carbon tax, I am shocked that the savings aren't greater given the scale of our utility bills. Is there something else that explains why that savings is so small?
Madam Chair, Councillor, there's nothing that we're aware of, just as far as we know, it's just a carbon tax, but I mean, we'd have to investigate further if there's like just less usage or whatever, but
I wouldn't make a motion for that. So.
What would be your motion? If you could
No,
please-
I would not make a motion to waste time on that.
Sorry.
So through the chair to admin, now that we have a variance report and can see where we've been significantly under budget in the past, and obviously with some good explanations, some places where we're significantly potentially over budget. The question, because we've already rejected the idea of getting specifics on this, I guess I'm just asking in general terms, would this data influence your budget estimates for 2026 now that we know?
Yes, and a lot of these changes are actually already in the 26 budget.
And then the last question I had was regarding the grant on page 65. The actual grant revenues are zero. Is that because we budget for them and they're received in a subsequent year? When we look at the actual 2025 LGFF, CCBF.
through the chair, we did receive our actuals for LGFF. The other grants, some of the other grants are STIP. We just didn't. They're kind of lumped into one GL coding, so we just haven't got them broken out yet, so that we could separate them out like STIP versus LGFF versus CCBF. But up to it's on receivable, but we did in January 2026 receive our LGFF for 2025, and just before Christmas we received it for 2024. We haven't received CCBF because we don't have the projects in there for CCBF, and we did receive a payment for STIP, which was several bridges. I think that was probably early December, late November. So we just need to kind of break it out because it went into all one GL, so we just need to separate what specific code would relate. So we received probably about probably over 3 million, because STIP was 1.5 million. LGFF for 2024 was 1 point something, and in 2025, which we did not receive to 2026, was I believe 1.9.
It's handy of them to promise us money and then not give it to us till later. Now I don't have some of my colleagues' mind for remembering, you know, the unit numbers of all this stuff, but on the bottom of page 65, we've got units 641, 671, and 361. Were these carryovers from 2024? Because there's no budget amounts in there, but they've been completed in the year.
Through the chair, what I did there, the budget was all in the first line item, fleet replacement, 928,500. But it was fleet replacement, but it was separate units. So what I did to show what we actually purchased, I split them in between those Rush 6441, 671, 361. And then we carried over the 100,000 was a down payment on a new unit, which we will receive in 2026. So it's basically the budget is the top line item. We're under straight across from fleet replacement. It was just that there was 3 or 4 vehicles bought. So I just instead of just saying
That
fleet.
explains it.
Yes.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think what is the last question on the variance report? When I went through it and you deduct out, you know, money for the Alpac Bridge, there looks to be about $2.7 million, give or take, unused and or unspent or undone. Can you just how come we didn't? Do we know why we haven't got through that? If we're planning on projects, is it capacity related or some other reason we have $2.7 million worth of capital projects that didn't happen?
Through the chair for capital projects, not sure if you can. When we did the capital budget, we did move forward. We did carry forward the Alpac Bridge, 1.9 million. We carried forward two large trucks. I think they're worth around 600,000 each for public works. So that's 1.2 plus 1.9. So that's 2.1 million. I don't have the 26 capital in front of me, but any projects that we didn't use other than a couple of small ones, they were carried forward to 2026 budget when we approved the capital budget for 2026.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just for clarity's sake, I'm assuming quite a few year-end adjustments that yet have to be made, right? So our forecasted amount is not quite our year-to-date final. It's we will see adjustments coming forward through our year-to-date.
That's correct. The forecast that you see on this is what we know of right now, like everything with a couple crews we're gonna make, but once we get into some of the adjustment when the auditors come, there may be other adjustments that right now I'm unaware of. So once we get, we are making adjustments as we go, but this was with the information we had at the time, and that's why I said in the RFD that there may be other adjustments, but we are expecting. I mean, it might not be exactly right on that number, but we are kind of expecting around there.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any questions or comments that they'd like to make? I see we've lost Councillor Kaptaniak. Yeah, okay. Anybody else? All right, is anybody like to make the motion? Councillor Chamzik would like to make the motion to receive the December 31st, 2025 summary operating and capital financial variance report and investment summary as information. We're ready for the vote. All those in favor? Are there any opposed? That's 8-0. Thank you again for the hard work that you're doing out there. I really appreciate it. And I'm loving these reports. They're well done. Thank you so much. All right, item 7.3, policy 3612, placement of fiber optic lines is on page 70 of your agenda package. I believe this was Deputy Mins. Please go ahead.
I guess, I just got a couple questions. I don't want to move the motion right now. I just got a couple questions. Just one main one is if we rescind this policy, what is administration going to use to implement on placing of fiber optic lines? Biggest thing is if I can go back to a little bit of we have some pipelines, actual pipelines in Athabasca County that if we want to do anything with them, around them, over top of them, and they need to be moved, we have to pay the price to do this, to move these lines. And like, is that going to be looked at to make sure that we don't have to, if we I don't want to say allow, because they can put them where they want, right? But is there going to be some backup to make sure that if we have to do something around these fiber optic lines, if one needs to be moved or something like that, they all have to move them?
Through the chair. Great question. For the council members that were here, that would recall when we implemented the access fee for approaches, pipeline crossings, all of those. With that, there was a license agreement that was also implemented at that time. So we currently have an application for fiber right now that we're dealing with, hence why this one's on the agenda now, so I can actually approve it from an administrative perspective. But we're getting them to sign the license agreement. In the license agreement, it basically says that if it's ever required to be relocated for road construction or anything like that, it comes down to their, it'll be the same thing with pipelines. So the next policy you're going to see me bring forward to get rescinded is the pipeline one. Currently, we have administrative procedures in place and the license agreement to deal with who's accountable for what. Currently, and it's a great question we were talking about this morning, I'm not sure if I can actually say no to a pipeline crossing, but I can put conditions in place. And I can have a license agreement in place that says, you know what, here's how you're going to install it while you're crossing our jurisdiction. As long as it's within reason, right? And then, so I obviously they could appeal through the province or the federal government if I tell them they got to be 10 meters below the ditch. But anyway, the license agreement will cover that off, is what our perspective is on that.
Perfect. On that, great information. Thank you very much. And on that note, I'll move the recommended motion.
Oh,
Oh,
just if
please.
I could expand,
Absolutely.
for the newer council members, you'll recall the encouragement for industry partners to sign a license agreement for pre-existing stuff is that they get a reduced application fee moving forward, if you recall. If they enter into the license agreement, they get a reduced access or a fee associated with each request. If they don't do the license agreement, their application fee is $300. So that's the incentive for older installations to also get a license agreement in place.
Okay. Does anybody have any further comments, questions, concerns, any of those things? Right, Deputy Mins would like to move that policy 3612, placement of fiber optic lines, be rescinded. If we're ready for that motion, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? 8-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, we are at 8.2, our community events calendar. Page 84 of your agenda package. I have one, and then I will turn it right over to you if that's okay. What day have we got? February 3rd. There is, and this is annual monthly, on the first Tuesday. It's called Coffee with a Cop. And that is this one is at 10 a.m. and it's at the Alice B. Donahue Library. Both Staff Sergeant Mark Hall from our Athabasca Detachment and Mayor Belay will be there doing Coffee with a Cop, and it's for the public to come, and I think it's a really cool thing that they're doing. Councillor Chanzik.
On the 17th of February is our Prospeda Community League Shrove Tuesday. On the 19th is Grassland Volunteer Appreciation Supper hosted by Grassland Ag Society. Doors open at 5. On the 20th of February is our Grassland Soup for Seniors. It starts at noon. And then in March, the Atmore Crib Tournament on the 14th. And then March 20th will be the Grassland Egg Fair at the Grassland Hall from 10 to 3. The Crib Tournament, the doors open at 9, 10 o'clock is the game. I can send this to administration if that's easier too.
Yeah. Fantastic. That's awesome. Do you have one? Yeah, please go ahead, Councillor Callahan.
I just have one. So Family Day, February 16th at 2 p.m. There's bingo at the Richmond Park Hall.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. And I'll just put a plug out there. Oh, Councillor Chisholm, do you have one?
I do. Just to let everybody know that the Boyles Ladies Bonspiel is this weekend,
Okay. January 30, I don't even know what.
January 31st and February 1st.
Okay.
Which it's just the 2 days. We only had 12 teams, so it would be
31st and the 1st.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Also on February 12th, the Boyle Chamber meeting at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Also February 1st, Boyle's 4-H speak-offs are February 1st, and then February 26th is regional speak-off for 4-H.
Do you have
What-
times by any chance? sir?
I don't offhand.
And the regional, I don't think is hosted.
I'm not sure what you're trying to tell me, but all I know is I'm judging on the 22nd, so I'm judging the public speaking.
Okay, so I'm sorry, that was 4-H speak off February 1 and 4-H speak off, I'm sorry,
Regional 4-H.
regional?
Yeah, so
And that was the 22nd.
second.
Okay, I wrote that on the 26th, sorry. Awesome, so that's on both on Sundays. Okay. Anybody else? This is also a little plug again for the Athabasca Regional Tourism website, that all these events can also be uploaded there on the website. So, you know, feel free if you get a chance to do that, because it's bringing traffic there is really cool. Go ahead, please, Councillor Chisholm.
I'm sorry, it's the 21st for, not the 22nd.
21st for the regional 4-H Speak Off?
Yes,
Okay,
sorry
Thank
about that.
no worries. Awesome. All right, I think if we've got all that under control, do we have a motion to receive the calendars as amended? Go ahead, Councillor Callahan would like to receive the event calendars as recommended. All those in favor? Are there any opposed? 8 and 0. Thank you. We will move to 8.3, which is our meeting calendar. I have a few. I think I sent these already to admin, so it was a little bit easier for Ms. Plord. Did you see the email on those? Okay, cool. So I will just read these out from what I have on mine and then turn it over to everyone else. February 4th is the RMA webinar number 2 for resolutions, and that's from 2 to 3:30. That is also on an email that we've all received, and the links are there to register. February 9th is Pembina Zone in Edmonton at 10 a.m. February 18th is another RMA webinar. It's number 3. It's current advocacy priorities. It's between 2 and 3:30 as well. Sorry, that is February 18. Go ahead.
That coincides with the Lac-La-Biche
Yes, it does.
meeting, so
We
how does
might
that
not be
work?
able to attend. That's correct.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
got it.
Yep. I wasn't sure if everyone was going to be attending, so it's there, right? And it's for awareness as well. RMA, pardon me, February 19. Community transportation meeting at 1:30 p.m. February 27th, we know we have our fire services gala, but there's also the Buffalo Lake Partnership Luncheon from 11:30 until 2. March 4th is another RMA webinar number 4, and that's on canoe procurement and RMA insurance between 2 and 3:30. And those are what I have, and Councillor Chanzik would like to go.
February 23rd, County Library at 6 p.m. And then March 18th to the 20th is Waste Management Cares Conference as well.
And where is that one? I'm sorry.
Brooks, Alberta.
Okay. Awesome. Councillor Chisholm?
February 5th at 10:30 is the Regional Healthcare and Attraction Committee and Retention.
Okay. And the time, 10?
10:30.
10:30? Okay. Councillor Hall?
So there'll be a Greater North meeting at 9:30 on February 2nd. And I would like to propose we move the March 17th Committee of the Whole meeting to March 19th.
March 17th to March 19th?
Yeah, it's the RMA week, so it just moves it to the Thursday instead of the Tuesday, and that keeps one meeting a week for
Okay.
us.
So on March 16th through the 18th, because of the RMA Spring Convention, the request is to move the Committee of the Whole meeting to the 19th. However, that's the Alberta Care Recycling Conference in Brooks that I think that we have a few members attending. Would it be beneficial maybe to do the same thing that we're doing this week, although it's hectic, moving the Committee of the Whole to the 24th? Or the 20th, yeah, just because of the other conference that's happening. 24th. Yep.
That would work for me, just due to the fact that I won't be there on the 19th either. But
Okay.
that works for me. But
Is that fine for you?
It's a council decision. I think sometime we should talk about how many people need to be away before we start moving meetings, because we can't, obviously, 3 people are away and the chair, it's a pretty good reason to move a meeting. But if there's, say I'm away for the next council meeting, but I really want to be there, we're gonna move the meeting because I can't make it, it'd be nice to kind of say, here's the threshold, right? If it's 3 or more, we'll move the meeting. If it's 3 or under, we
Well,
march ahead.
I'd be honest, I totally get where you're coming from, but coming off of RMA and having a meeting the next day, trying to figure out that agenda and do a meeting prep, and through exhaustion of very full days, is very tricky. I'm comfortable with the 24th if everybody else is. Okay, so committee of the whole, does that work for administration? Yeah, the 24th gives them a little bit of extra time too. Well, yeah. Okay, is there any other changes, any other adds?
I move that we receive them
Receive the
Yes.
calendars?
amended.
Or we can keep going. All right, so receive the, Counselor Hall would like to receive the meeting calendars as discussed or as amended. As we're seeing them, all those in favor? Any opposed? 8-0. Thank you.
Quick question.
Yes, go ahead, please.
I had strategic plan on
Oh.
the 5th and 6th. Was there any more information about that, like time or
I-
place?
I'm not sure if sorry, Counselor Stasiak was asking if the strategic planning March 5th and 6th had any further details as far as times and location.
No.
No.
I think we talked about that the other day. We're still trying to figure out location.
Sure, got it, thanks.
Okay. Awesome, thank you. Just making sure I'm staying in where I'm at here. Hang on. There we go. Okay, so we are on now to, I believe it is 9.1, which is our Pembina Zone District 3 meeting. We had an email come out on January 26th, I believe it was. And because of our Pembina Zone meeting is on February 9th, there was a request for any type of agenda items to be given from this particular, all the members, of course. So I'm not sure we have any, but it's there on the table for us to discuss just in case somebody would like to bring something forward to Pembina Zone. And if not, we will just move on. We're just waiting. There might be something. We're going to wait. Is there anything you guys have for Pembina Zone that you would like to bring forward for discussion as an agenda item? No, you're good?
No, we're good.
Okay, you're good. So I think because there's no action here, we can just move forward with that. On to the next item. There's no action. So we are moving into reports. 10.1I, the Athabasca Regional Multiplex Society Board on page 100, and I believe Deputy Mintz, yeah.
I was just, the other day when we were discussing this, like when Counselor Hall gave his, update or something like that, all of a sudden it jumped in my mind when I got home. You said that they were working on trying to cut back in different areas, like save money and stuff like that. And I was just wondering if bring up a concern of myself. It's a beautiful building, beautiful spot, well used and everything like that. But the parking lot, is that where they're saving money? Like the safety in the parking lot to me is just completely. I don't think we'll actually see the asphalt until July. Because I don't know what happened there. It's we have people coming in there from Kitscotty, from Hinton, from all over Alberta, and my Lord, it's funny that there's no lawsuits yet for somebody falling down. But it was just a concern I wanted to bring up to because as I go in there, I get confronted by people in there saying, what's going on? You know, like,
Madam Chair, if we could scrape up some of the salt in our parking lot, it would probably address it over
That salt that gets applied out here would
Yeah.
probably do the rest of the town.
the entire town.
It's eaten through my boots in the last 3 months. So obviously that's an operational concern, and I'll take it back and pass it on to the manager. I think that's not wildly different than lots of other areas in town, but it's a problem for all of us. I've been there in days where if I'd had the car, I would have probably been stuck because of it bottoming out. But it's been that kind of winter, and I think the snow contractors in town, while they're there, obviously moving snow, it's so busy that it looks to me like it's packing down like hard and fast before they get there. And I know they're doing their best, but I think we can all acknowledge that it's been a challenging year. And it's funny to see Iowa Scotia because I was thinking the exact same thing about the surplus salt out here, but
Okay, thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. The slips and falls have been a lot. I can attest to that. All right, if we can go on now to item, community transportation report 10.1Q, which is on page 102 of your agenda package. Was there questions there or comments?
I think I just wanted to comment of the great of these numbers that were brought forward to the regarding the trips and the difference in each community, in each municipality that funds this organization. So it's a very good read. If everybody hasn't read it yet, please read it. Thank you.
Thank you. So just one thing I've neglected to add in the report, and I'll mention it now. When it comes down to the municipality split, as we know, community transportation is shared between the village and the town and the county. And the county does the main base, it does the administration, does the bookings, does all of those types of things. How we had in the budget that you would not notice, you'll see that the municipality split is Athabasca County is 61.01%, Town of Athabasca is 26.17%, the Village of Boyle is 7.84%. That is based on population, so it's per capita is how the budget is done, okay? So our wonderful administration team that's been dealing with all of the bookings and all of those things has given us some really great stats. We started tracking each municipality's trips and how many kilometers per municipality were done. And I so appreciate that information because it really gives a different look as per capita compared to what actual usage is per kilometer per municipality. And it's been fantastic. So they give us those stats on every committee of the whole meeting report. And I've been given a great idea, of course, by Councillor or Deputy Mayor, I guess, Reimer. I'm not sure if she's Deputy Mayor still, Councillor Reimer out of the town. She said, I started putting all of these stats on a spreadsheet. And I said, oh, good idea. You know, and then you're able to really have a good look at it. So I also started doing that in a spreadsheet, and it was a really neat exercise. So we will continue keeping an eye on what those look like. December's reports came out as well. And it does show a different picture from per capita to actual kilometers traveled per municipality. So thank you for bringing that up. We'll have more conversation, I'm sure, on February 9th at our community transportation meeting. While I was at the NAAAGO meeting, I just happened to sit next to Mayor Snow from Vermilion, town of Vermilion, and he actually was one of the founders of a program called Focus. I highly recommend if you get a chance to Google that, and it is a transportation similar to ours that we have here, only he has some really neat and wonderful ideas as a prior paramedic of helping to keep ambulances in their municipality by utilizing their community transportation. So if you get a chance, check it out. I'll have more information. He is more than willing to come and give a presentation as well, because I think it's really worth, he's done a really great job with that. So it was really neat conversation that I was able to have with him. All right, so if we're done with reports, oh, please, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I missed Mayor Snow, what municipality?
Vermilion, town of Vermilion.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I missed some of those things. So Athabasca County was 61.
It's on the report, yeah.
Oh, I missed it.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I'm
Page,
looking at the wrong
there you go. Yeah, it's 6601, so it's on the top of page 103. 66.01.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'd add that the focus stuff has been previously presented to the Transportation Committee as a source for ideas on how to have that service provide more value in the community and potentially lose less money.
Yeah. Yeah, and when I asked him, I said, when we talk more about it, and of course his background and whatnot, And I said, man, you should come and give a presentation to the committee or for council for that matter. He was game, so I'll talk to the committee, of course, we'll bring that forward. All right, are we done with reports? Going into close, we have a motion.
I'll make that motion to go into close.
Thank you. Deputy Reed Mins would like to make the motion to go into close. And I think if we could take, please, a 5-minute break, or do you want to, do we need a personal break after that? Hold on, we do the motion. All those in favor? And are there any opposed? Okay, I think if we could. Good to go? Okay, thank you. We have come out of closed session. We have 3 motions to put on the floor. The first one from, I believe it's 12.1, to appoint Felice Lund. This is Councillor Chizen, would like to appoint Felice Lund for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2028 as a member at large on the Family and Community Support Services Board. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? Perfect, 8-0, thank you. 12.2, this was Deputy Reed Mins who would like to move that council authorizes administration to enter into fire services agreements with the summer villages of Bondus and Muatha as discussed and closed. If we're all ready for that motion, all those in favor? And opposed? So that's 7-1, motion passes. 12.2, or pardon me, 12.3, Councillor Stasiak would like to move that council formally rejects the proposal to assume ownership of Lot 2, Block 3, Plan 2985 MC and directs administration to prepare a written response to the applicant. If we're ready for that motion, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? 8-0. Thank you very much. And I think we can officially adjourn this meeting at 12:23.